Hi everybody, Robert Dyer, and welcome to the Robert Dyer channel. I have here a very special product. This is the limited edition Stella Artois Midnight Lager. You can tell when the top of the bottle is wrapped in a paper that means premium, as it says premium dark lager. And this is 5.4 alcohol by volume, so that's slightly more than your typical Budweiser. And the company says that it has hints of Belgian dark chocolate and freshly brewed espresso, and that the colors of the bottle, black and gold, reflect the colors of the midnight sky. And the recommended pairings for this beer are roasted pork, grilled steak, and chocolate, which means this is probably the perfect beer to have with my Mcrib when I can have one again. Stella Artois is probably the most appropriate company to put out a special beer for Christmas. 2020 was the second year they brought this one out. It started in 2019, but what I did not know is that their signature beer is itself a Christmas beer. The Den Hoorn Brewery in Leuven, Belgium, goes all the way back to 1366. Now that's my kind of time in history, although I like the Dark Ages maybe a bit more than the later period. But Sebastien Artois ends up buying the brewery. He worked there, but he buys it in 1717, and he renames it Artois. And then fast forward to 1926, when the Artois Brewery decides to put out a special beer for Christmas, a limited edition just like this, a Pilsner beer they call Stella after the Christmas star. And lo and behold, this is so well received that it becomes their most famous beer. And by 1930, it's now, the word is spread, and now the beer itself begins to spread across Europe. Here's a look at the packaging here. Limited edition premium dark lager. And there's the Christmas star. So let's go ahead and try to get this open here. There she blows. Well, thank God it didn't fly across the room into the cup this time. Now the aroma. The aroma is not overwhelming coming out of the top of the bottle so far. I'm definitely getting a coffee aroma. A slightly dried fruit aroma as well. Now let's go ahead and get out this finest bachelor's glassware. Now that is dark. And you've got a head of about maybe a little bit less than an inch there. And it's sticking around. You've got that cola level darkness. Definitely a little more aroma now that it's opening up in the cup here. Lacing that is just leaves the top of it. The rest of it drops away. Definitely strong on the coffee. A little bit of a chocolate, a little bit of the dried fruit. Let's go ahead and see how it tastes. Well, it's definitely a fairly dry finish on the end of it. Very strong coffee aroma. I should say very strong coffee flavor. Stronger flavor than the aroma of the coffee. And the very noticeable aftertaste of coffee, just as if you had taken a sip of coffee just now. Definitely not too bitter. It is dark, but it feels very light. And yes, it definitely is, when you're talking about the chocolate flavor, it is definitely that dark chocolate, not a Hershey's chocolate. And of course, few know chocolate like the Belgians. A little bit of a toasted malt. Slightly nutty and fruity is just a hint of nuts and fruit. So certainly a very holiday festive type flavor. And I have to, before I give my final verdict, I have to give a shout out to Mariah and Matt in beautiful Perrysburg in the great state of Ohio. They picked up the matching Welcome Welcome shirts. Thank you so much for that and for your many years of support. And if you would like a shout out, just order any of the products from the Robert Dyer channel store that you see directly below the box this video is in. And then tag me on social media with a photo of whatever you got. And you too can have a shout out right here on the channel. Now, yes, Bob, Perrysburg, named for sale of the century host Jim Perry, home of Marcia's homemade Buckeye candies and the legendary Mr. Freeze ice cream shop, not far from the Haskins Hideaway in Haskins, Ohio. What is the Haskins Hideaway, you ask? It's a Robert Dyer cult safe house. Where is the Haskins Hideaway? Well, it wouldn't be a hideaway if I told you. All I can say is it's near the railroad track. Who is currently in the Haskins Hideaway? That is classified information. Seriously, Bob, I'm so inspired by your review that I went down through the drive-thru at Quick and Cold on Brant Pike. Quick and Cold. I think that was the name of one of the girls you dated, Bob.
Quick and Cold.
And I went through the drive-thru in my Chrysler Imperial Frank Sinatra edition, turning heads on Brant Pike all the way, and go right through that drive-thru at Quick and Cold and pick up a midnight lager and a pack of Marlboro Midnights. Talk about a smoky finish. Quick and Cold. Whatever happened to her, Bob? Just remember my sage advice. All women are tricksters. That hits the spot. Hits the spot.
Hits the spot. Woo!
Well, I have to say I like this beer a lot. Both for the flavor, if it was not a holiday beer, but also as a holiday beer, something I'd want to pull out for the holidays. It's definitely a good one if you don't like very strong bitterness in your beer. Really the only bitterness in this beer is from the coffee. You just get that sort of coffee aftertaste. So if you don't like coffee, don't get this beer, I'll tell you that. But I like the fact that I'm tasting coffee and chocolate and a little bit of a toasty, smoky flavor. I can definitely see how this would go great with a Mcrib or an expensive pork dinner. Certainly something you might order in a fine restaurant if you were going to a beer as a beverage. I think I would definitely buy this again. And it's got that festive flavor, very similar to the Mountain Dew that has the cranberry flavor, where it's not necessarily the one you pick up if you're outside chopping wood all afternoon and you're trying to cool off. But it's definitely something that goes very well with the Christmas season. You're watching the Christmas programs, you're having a Christmas party, Christmas movies, whatever the case may be. This is definitely something that will pair well with all of that, as well as with your Christmas candy and Christmas dinners. So I would say, as a Christmas beer, this is definitely 5 stars all the way. And I think even as a regular beer, I'm still going to go ahead and give it 5 stars because it has such an interesting flavor, so many strong, delicious flavors, that it's definitely a must-buy unless you don't like coffee. So I hope you like this video, share it with your friends, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye everybody.